The NFL Super Wildcard Weekend Recap edition on the NFL Gambling Podcast, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, is brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets, a sports betting research platform for parlays, props, game lines. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit HOFBets.com. Code SGPN to get 50% off your first month and start making smarter bets today. We're also brought to you by Cut. Cut is a peer-to-peer social betting platform for U.S.-based, legal in 40 states. Head over to cut.com. That's KUTT.com. Promo code SGPN for a 10% deposit bonus. We're also brought to you by our own SGPN merch store. 50% off everywhere if you use the promo code PLAYOFFS.
I'm just about that action, boss.
You have to be kidding me. That is impossible.
I'm raising the ante. Anybody wants any deal?
He is Houdini.
Jordan Davis, dog. Jalen Hurts, dog. AJ Brown, dog. How many of you want to eat a doggy tonight?
And welcome, everybody, to the NFL Gambling Podcast, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. Tuesday, January the 16th, Super Wild Card Weekend is in the books. And if you're a fan of the NFC and you hate the two teams that were in it, it was a good weekend for yourself, a.k.a. myself. I am Moneyline Mac. He is JMark Football, a.k.a. old-fashioned football. Not so good for him. JMark, how are you doing, man?
Yeah, not if you're not fans of the NFC North Packers and Lions both winning. Unbelievable. Unbelievable that the Cowboys, the only home team to lose this weekend. Questions all over the place on some of these teams that lost. I put out a poll on the X just a couple hours ago. Which quarterback would you rather have, Tua or Dak? Which one do you think's leading?
Tua?
Yeah. By quite a bit, actually. Just shows you how much people think Dak sucks, I guess.
Well, I think you throw Jalen Hurts in there too now. The way Jalen Hurts finished this year, you start to wonder if he's a one-hit wonder. And you know, I made the joke all year. Jalen Prescott. He's slowly turning into Dak Prescott. And his performance last night was pretty much indicative of a Dak Prescott. But, hey, we'll get to those games. Any other thoughts before we dive into each and every game? I mean, we got 4 games this weekend. Saturday, the 1 seeds are back in action. Baltimore hosts Houston. San Francisco will host your favorite Green Bay Packers. Sunday, the doubleheader. Who had this one on the bingo card? Tampa Bay goes to Detroit in a divisional matchup. And then I think maybe this game will be almost as viewed as the Super Bowl. Not really, but like you guys get the over exaggeration of how much hype will be surrounding this game. Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, the Swifties go to Buffalo to take on Josh Allen and the wagon we call Bills Mafia. Obviously, the last game is kind of the highlight. Is there any other matchup that you're like, man, I can't wait to see this one?
No, I mean, that's definitely what I feel is the best game. I am kind of curious to see that Lions-Bucks game. Both of them playing pretty feisty football, and I think it's going to be a good one. Just a couple other notes. Caleb Williams declared for the draft. So Bears are on the clock. We'll see what they do with that. And then Jason Kelce, Eagles center for a long time. It sounds like he is retiring after 13 seasons in the NFL. You don't get a lot of centers that get a ton of credit, but he's definitely one of them that gets a ton of credit for his play on the field.
Yes, completely. I mean, he's going to be a Hall of Famer, and not just because his last name's Kelce. Would be interested to see if the tush push continues to work now. I mean, yeah, he was just as important as Jalen Hurts in that whole thing. But all right, man, let's get into it. Let's talk about our dog that we gave out on last week's show with Rush. Houston embarrasses the Cleveland Browns. Finally, Joe Flacco came back down to earth. 2 pick sixes. C.J. Stroud, unbelievable in his playoff debut. 16-21, 274 yards, 3 touchdowns. Obviously, the turnovers is what spiraled this game. This game probably Houston was the better team, but once they started getting those turnovers for scores in the third quarter, that kind of spiraled things out of control. Thoughts on these Houston Texans that just continue to fucking roll, baby?
Yeah, I mean they asked CJ Stroud something about everybody thinks this is a success even if you lose, and he kind of brushed that off like, if we lose, what are you talking about? This team believes. They believe. They've exceeded expectations all year, but still they believe, and they looked the part against the Browns. I thought they were going to win. I didn't think they were going to win by this much. They routed the Browns. They won in pretty much every phase of football. Including coaching, defense, offense, special teams. I mean, well, great performance. Houston Texans fans, they got to be stoked.
Oh God, I mean they've hit the jackpot. Everybody was making fun of them in the draft when they got rid of when they traded up to get Stroud and Anderson on the defensive side. But man, they're the ones fucking laughing right now. They will go to Baltimore, a rematch of week 1, a game that kind of got away from them late, but they hung in there, pulling up that score. I'm trying to remember what that final score was. That was week 1, and Baltimore pulled away 25-9. To kind of put in perspective, the line that day was 9.5. The line right now, I think, is sitting at 8.5 or 9.5. So not much has changed with these two teams. It makes sense. Baltimore's 1 seed. They've looked as impressive as anybody. Houston obviously exceeds expectations to a whole different level. So we'll combine things here too. Houston, we'll talk about that in our preview later in the week. Obviously, things are working upward. What about the Browns, man? I think if you're a Browns fan, you got to be happy with getting to the playoffs. I know you wanted to advance, but when you really pull back the curtain, look at it from the magnifying glass of not just narrowing in on a 45-14 playoff loss, it was a good year, man. Your quarterback goes down, week 5 or whatever, Watson, after they beat Baltimore. Chubb basically broke his leg against Pittsburgh. The offensive line was completely banged up. They got an elite defense. What do you think of the Browns going forward?
Yeah, they won't be satisfied after being so pumped on the year. But
Yeah.
I agree with you. I mean, this has to be looked at as a success. The way they were able to navigate these injuries and get past these injuries and still make the playoffs and play good football down the stretch. Joe Flacco, he's got to pat himself on the back. He did a hell of a job coming off the couch, literally, to lead this team to some wins and played some good football. I'm sure they're all super disappointed, but they should hold their heads high. They had a good season. As much as I don't like the Brownies, they had a good season.
What do you think they do with Flacco? You think they bring back Flacco as a backup?
How can you not if he
That's
wants
what
to
I think.
play? I mean,
Yeah.
it's hard not to with how he played for them.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they're going to go back to Watson just because of how much they have invested in him. Watson actually, as much as we bust his balls, was playing well right before that. The Baltimore game was his best game when he had the jacked up shoulder. So Watson will be back under center. Chubb, that offensive line, Amari Cooper, Njoku. So looking forward to seeing how these Browns look next season. But in the meantime, Houston goes to Baltimore Saturday afternoon. Do you give the Texans a shot in Baltimore? Early thoughts?
I think the Ravens are going to the Super Bowl, but it's hard to just discredit this Texans team, right? It's hard to just say, Ravens are going to rout them. Do they rout them? It's possible, but I think they just proved that you can't count them out. They can show up and play good football. So it's going to be an interesting matchup for sure. I still think the Ravens kind of the experience and everything takes over and they win that game pretty easily, but anything can happen. It's the NFL playoffs, right?
Indeed, anything can happen. I'll tell you what else could happen. You can get over to DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL playoffs, and it brings you an offer to help make the playoffs electrifying. New customers can bet just $5 on any game and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. JMark, looking around right now, is there anything that pops your eye early over on DraftKings as we head into the NFL divisional round?
Yeah, I just had this up, and of course I closed it. If you go into divisional round specials, They have every team to score a touchdown and a field goal at 7.5 to 1. I don't know. At 7.5 to 1, I definitely feel like that's worth just throwing a little bit on. A touchdown and a field goal from every team. You're in the divisional round. Every team should be playing well. So I kind of like that. And then you could also have all teams to score 2+ touchdowns at 7.5 to 1. So I kind of like both those just for fun.
I do too. And I can always rely on you, JMark, to give me an off the wall bet like that nobody was thinking about. So get over there, score a touchdown, score a field goal, 7.5 to 1, and get over there to DraftKings now and use the code SGP. New customers can bet just $5 to get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Only on the DraftKings Sportsbook with code SGP. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Please call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.100gambler.net. In New York, call 887 HOPE NY or text HOPE NY. In Connecticut, help is available for problem. Call 888-878-9777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas. 21 plus age by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 188 hours after insurance. See DraftKings.com/football for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources. All right, we're back on the NFL Gambling Podcast. Saturday night, this game was so predictable.
It was.
I guess technically I did get cute and took the 4.5, but I did not have a lot of feel. Dolphins are a fucking joke. They had the softest team I've ever seen in my life. They had no business being there. No interest being there. And they just fall flat on their face once again when they play a team with a winning record. Tua, that explosive offense that only works on turf and in the warm, 20 of 40, 199, one pick. The Chiefs just toughness. That's the recap. The Dolphins will never win anything with this group. They're too soft.
Yeah, 100% agree. There's a couple quarterbacks that we've talked about all year, like even preseason. I said Dak Prescott. Don't see him, the Cowboys winning a Super Bowl with him ever. Tua is another one. I never see Tua winning a Super Bowl. No offense to him. He is talented. I get it. He can do the job a hell of a lot better than I could. So it's easy for me to sit here and say that. But I don't see Tua ever winning the Super Bowl, no matter who they put around him. And they have a lot of good weapons around him. And this is the effort you get when you go outside and play in the cold. I agree. They're soft. One other thing, not soft. How does the NFL let Patrick Mahomes still take 2 snaps after his helmet is broken like that? Like, they're so worried about concussions, but he's got a broken helmet and they're like, let's give him a couple more snaps. He's fine.
Selective enforcement there, JMark. Don't look too much into it.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, JMark, to piggyback off your point, you look at the Dolphins every time they played a good team on the road. At Philly, 14-point loss. At Buffalo, 28-point loss. Chiefs in Germany, they lose by 7. At Baltimore, they get routed by 40 in December or January when you're getting ready for the playoffs. And then they go and lose by 3 touchdowns in Kansas City. They couldn't have asked for a better schedule this year, too. They beat up on all the shit teams, and they still could not win the division. They had Buffalo in Miami. I know they were banged up, but everybody's banged up. You have to win that game so that you don't play in the cold. Unless for some reason Buffalo just completely implodes, I just can't see them ever winning the division. Like you said, they don't beat anybody that's worth a shit. It's always just beating up on the Patriots since Brady left, and the Jets and the Raiders and the Panthers and the Giants. I mean, that's how they'll score 70, I'm sure, again in September and lure everybody back in. But when we start playing meaningful football, we know what's going to happen.
They're the Cowboys of the AFC.
Bingo. Yeah, great comparison. Were you impressed with the Chiefs? I know we've been down on the Chiefs, but they got that grit, championship toughness, man.
Yeah, I mean, I was impressed. They put up the points they did. I thought with how cold it was, this was going to be low scoring. They didn't treat it like it was a cold, windy day. They seemed to treat it like normal football. Yeah, they ran the ball, but they passed a hell of a lot of times too. A lot more than I expected them to. And that defense, I mean, we've talked about it all year. This is the best defense that Patrick Mahomes has had. And there's a possibility. I won't say, can they ride the D like one of the analysts and announcers on a 4-letter network we don't talk about, but I definitely think they can get by with this defense, even when the offense isn't always clicking and pass catchers, even like Travis Kelce, are dropping passes. This defense can push them.
Yeah, absolutely. Back to Miami, looking at them going forward, they're going to have to pay Tua. And because Tua's but the problem is like Tua's played well enough where like Daniel Jones and some of these other guys where you feel like you have to pay him because he's been productive, but you're not going to win a Super Bowl with him. And once you pay him, then you can't pay the rest of your roster. And Tua's a guy that he needs really good players around him to succeed. So I think kind of Miami may have missed any window that they have because they're going to have to pay Tua.
Yeah, and whether he sticks to it or not, I mean, Tyreek Hill said at the beginning of this year that he's not going to play past 2025. So that's interesting and to watch as well because time's clicking. Maybe they draft, or even if it's an undrafted free agent, maybe they take Tua's little brother, see if he can help him any.
It just shows you, man, like you can lose so much fucking. The window is so short in the NFL. It is so short. Like Miami looked like they were in good position a couple weeks ago. Now you're looking at it outside looking in. You're like, they got to pay Tua, which means they're not going to be able to pay their defense as much. Tyreek Hill, we don't know how much longer he's going to play. They're always banged up. So all of a sudden, Miami missed opportunity. That's bottom line. Chiefs, they got a shot. They got a shot on Sunday. As long as they got Mahomes and Reed, they will always have a shot.
Yep, agreed.
Yeah. Go Bills, though. I'm not rooting for Kansas City. So
same.
All right. That's Kansas City will play next Sunday at 6:30. Next up on the dock.
One of us was going to be disgusted with this game. Just happens that it was me.
Oh my God, dude. The gift that keeps on fucking giving. How about them Cowboys? Fucking embarrassed. 48-32, and the score was not even that close.
It wasn't.
27-0 at half, or right before half. I know they scored at the last play of the half. Dak was atrocious. I know he fucking threw for 300, 400 yards or whatever he ended up with. His pick six, an absolute dagger. Dak classic, 41-60, 400 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a 16-point blowout loss to the 7th seed. Mike McCarthy's got to be done, right? I mean, come on, man. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, I know that we talk about the Cowboys being front runners and choke artists. I thought that they would at least get past the first round and then fall on their face.
Yeah, no, agreed. And I think McCarthy's got to go too. Maybe this was just a game to the whole team. Just kid. I don't think he has any love for the Packer organization. But Dak and McCarthy aside, this defense, this was supposed to be a good defense. I mean, Micah Parsons and all the guys they got there, this was a terrible effort. It seemed like every time the Packers had the ball, they were picking up huge chunk plays, whether it was on the ground or in the air. How do you let Aaron Jones and Jordan Love do this to you? The defense should be, I don't know, they got to take a good hard look at themselves because they suck just as much as Dak did.
100%. Yeah. I mean, we focus on Dak because he's paid as much as he is, and McCarthy is an easy punching bag. They didn't take away the pass. Jordan Love, 16 to 21, 270, 3 touchdowns. Aaron Jones on the ground, 21 carries, 118 yards. They didn't take away anything. What about Dan Quinn? I mean, he's supposed to be the hot name for a head coaching job. This has got to be held against him. I mean, this is embarrassing.
Yeah. Agreed. I think the Packers scored on every time they had the ball until the third quarter, I think it was. They walked up and down them. So it was insane to watch. As a Bears fan, it was sickening to watch, to hear them say how the Packers got their next franchise quarterback. Jordan Love is all that. I honestly think this was more of just a terrible performance by the Cowboys, but I guess credit to Green Bay. They got to be excited. I'm sure our buddy RD, I'm sure he's extremely pumped right now. I know he was chirping a little bit that there were no calls going against the Packers or against the Cowboys. It didn't matter. It didn't matter.
No, it didn't matter at all. Shout out to RD. Go, Pack, go. We got to be on the Niners this weekend, right?
100%.
Come on, man. They're a touchdown dog and they win by like 30.
Yeah.
That's it. That's got to be a fade spot, especially with San Fran off the bye and they own the Pack. Great win, Packers. Obviously, they got their quarterback, Jordan Love. That's pretty much been answered here. I mean, he's been unbelievable down the stretch. Matt LaFleur, he's done an unbelievable job coaching his team. I was very hard on him last year, but maybe Rodgers was the problem at the end. Or I don't know so much if it was Rodgers was the problem. The Rodgers thing weighed that team down, I thought. Whether he was going to retire, come back, goes into the darkness. You didn't know what Rodgers was doing.
Rodgers was definitely the problem. Serial checking in the chat. Big Cowboys fan. What a time to come in. Fortune also not liking the Packers. And then Serial saying, at least my boy Ferg came through. I did do an FFPC lineup with Ferg in it. He came through with 3 touchdowns. He was the only Cowboy that had a day, I guess.
Yeah. And so JMark, in our preview show, and we talked a little coaching carousel. We talked about Belichick. So now we're at where we're at. We said, well, we talked about the Falcons. We talked about the Chargers. But then we also talked about what if the Cowboys lose? We didn't talk about what if the Cowboys get embarrassed by the Packers. That really wasn't even on our mind. We didn't think that was possible.
Right.
That did happen. We said, what if the Eagles lose, yet alone get embarrassed themselves? So now you got 2 NFC East teams that are potentially going to need a coach. I think Sirianni's going to be gone in Philly. They may bring him back. Mike McCarthy, I think, has got to be out. They've reached their ceiling with him. What's your thoughts? I mean, you think it's Bill? You think it's Harbaugh? You think it's a name that's behind closed doors? I mean,
Belichick makes sense there. I just don't know if him and Jerry Jones can get on the same page. Yeah, exactly. I mean, those are 2 big egos to throw in.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's crazy to think about, but again, does it matter? I don't think Dak can win the Super Bowl. So I don't know if it matters who they bring in. Honestly, I think they're going to struggle until they can move on from Dak Prescott. I think he's also reached his ceiling, just like McCarthy. I think he's reached his ceiling, and I don't see him getting over that hump. I don't know what they need to do. I mean, they've had elite defenses. They've had good run attack. They've had CeeDee Lamb. What more do they need to do for him? They have the best offensive line in football sometimes. I mean,
yeah,
I don't know. I'm at a loss for what that team needs to do to get past the choking point.
I mean, Dak made the point, like, maybe they should move on from me if they're going to move on from McCarthy. Yeah, they should move on from you. That was
agreed.
How many more chances do you need? You've lost to freaking Jordan Love and Brock Purdy and gotten outplayed in both games, and we're paying you as much as we're paying you. I mean, come on, man. You're paid to freaking be not Patrick Mahomes, obviously, but you're paid to be a top 10 quarterback. You're a bottom 10 quarterback in the playoffs when it comes to winning time. I think they should move on. You know what I would do, honestly? I'd bring in Belichick, and I'd go with Cooper Rush. And I'd pay the fuck out of that defense and just play not a sexy brand of football, but I think Belichick could actually really will that team in terms of a defensive culture that they really need. And an under-the-radar guy like Cooper Rush, run the ball, play action. Every time Cooper Rush plays, he has success. That's what I would do. I mean, I would the 49er model. Fucking load up on that defense, load up on the skill positions, offensive line, quarterback proof, and just ride with Cooper Rush or whatever rookie you want to take in the draft.
Now, if Belichick goes to Dallas, does Zeke come back to Dallas? Does he bring Zeke back in?
Yes. He should. A reunion. It's just a reunion everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, we laid out everybody's like, they can't coexist. Jerry's got to look at himself in the mirror then and be like, dude, you're fucking like 85. You're on borrowed time right now. You need to you got to fucking swallow your fucking ego, man, if you really want to get a fucking another ring. But if Jerry's not willing to do that, they're not going to fucking win. I mean, they're not going to win with McCarthy and Dak. I can tell you that.
Agreed.
I don't think Harbaugh's going to go there. I can't see Harbaugh going there.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Yeah.
I think he wants an offense that's going to move a little faster, and I don't think that offense is going to move faster.
And he's a freak too. I mean, him and Jerry would not coexist at all. Maybe Bill could do it because Bill's at the end as well, like Jerry, and they could have a understanding. Hey, put our egos aside. This is a big if, because they've tried it. Parcells tried it. It didn't work out. Jimmy Johnson. I mean, he won a Super Bowl, but then it ended up crashing and burning. But yeah, no. And Cyril says we need a real defensive mind. Bill's the right fit for Dallas if everybody can just put their bullshit aside. But that's all the Cowboys are. They're bullshit. That's it. They're going to beat up on the shit teams. They're going to get beat by the good teams. Jerry's going to say some weird ass shit in the post game, and yeah, he's the only owner that has a post game presser week in and week out. What are your thoughts on the Pack? You give the Pack any shot next week in San Fran?
Fuck no.
Shocker
God,
there,
not.
everybody.
If they beat the 49ers, oh my God, I'll never stop hearing about it. So no, let's go Niners.
So, hey, you know what? I tend to agree with you, but if anybody wants to take JMark's action and take the Pack, go Pack, go, get over there to Cut. Reminder, Cut is the peer-to-peer social betting platform for U.S.-based and legal 40 states. Head over to cut.com. That's KUTT.com with the code SGPN for a 10% deposit bonus. We're also brought to you by PrizePicks. PrizePicks, baby, all day long. Stack them winners on top of winners. JMark, I know we're only on Tuesday. You got anything cooking up there for some PrizePicks that you're looking to get down on?
I don't yet because they are still cooking everything up. There's not a lot of lines available, but I'm going to take Mike Evans higher on whatever his line is at. I just think he's going to have a good game. And I mean, why not take Stroud higher too? I know he goes against a good defense, but Stroud's playing lights out. He's got nothing to lose. He's a rookie. You know, they explained it one time I heard about these younger guys that they're so young, they don't know any better. They don't know they're supposed to be nervous and supposed to blow these big games. So yeah, hit Stroud up as well.
Hopefully you're not hitting up Jordan Love for that same can't lose anything, but get over there, prizepicks.com/SGPN and use code SGPN for a first deposit match up to $100. Prizepicks.com, code SGPN. PrizePicks, daily fantasy sports made easy. All right, we're back. Moving along, Sunday Night Football. What a freaking game this was. I'm really happy. I know you hate the Lions, but I'm happy for the Lions fans. They were able to grind that thing out. They were the better team against the Rams. That offense is good, man. They got weapon after weapon. I took the under in this game, and it was 21-17, like midway through the second quarter. I go, oh, this fucking thing's over. There's no way this under hits. Somehow this puppy stays under the total. Great game. The defense was able to hold up on that final drive, sack Stafford. Stafford was a warrior, always getting fucking banged up like he was back in Detroit, having his head bounce off the turf. Fun game, real fun game. This is probably the best game of the weekend by far.
Yeah, I mean, as far as competitiveness on both sides, for sure. Yeah, I don't love that the Lions won, of course, being a rival of the Bears, but it was a hell of a effort by them. Hell of an effort by Stafford, too, like you said. I mean, he got the shit kicked out of him and was able to keep grinding away. Again, selective by the NFL. He probably looked like he should have been checked for a concussion after that one hit. His eyes looked like they were getting ready to roll back, but he kept battling through, and that's what Stafford has done, love him or hate him. I've not been a Stafford fan, but that's what he's done his whole career. It's going to be interesting to see what's next for him. Does he come back another year? I think he does, but he went through some more injuries again this year. He's not getting any younger, obviously. And yeah, this is interesting. Now the Lions, they're a young team. Dan Campbell, I mean, props to him. I didn't think he was the guy when they hired him. I thought, this guy, he's too wound up. But I don't know. I don't think anybody wants to look him in the eye right now and tell him that they can't win.
I'm not going to do it. And Goff was unbelievable. Goff was a better quarterback on Sunday. efficiency-wise, 22 for 27, 277, touchdown. Basically played a perfect game. Like you said, man, the Lions got weapons. I am a little worried for them this next game because it seems too easy that they have the Bucks coming to them. Like the Rams was kind of like the Super Bowl spot. It was Stafford coming back, the first playoff game. Now they get the Bucks and Baker, and they got nothing to lose. Like nobody gives a shit if they win. Now there's a little bit of heat on these Lions. I think they're definitely the better team. Missed opportunity for the Rams though, because they could have won this game and then gone to Tampa Bay and then potentially had a rematch of the NFC title game a couple years ago.
Yeah, for sure. I also find it interesting this Lions-Bucks match that we're looking at opened at 4.5. It's now up to 6.5 for the Lions. They're getting bet very publicly. Let's fucking go Baker.
Dude, I kind of want to zigzag with you on this one too. I know we're gonna break down the matchup they did play earlier this year, but this is a lot of pressure. I don't think this could be a blowout. That the Lions may get by them, but man, that's a lot of points for this game and for a team that's got absolutely nothing to lose. Lions, like you said, will play Sunday 3:00 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They already beat them. Any final thoughts on the Lions? I mean, what you think Stafford retires, or you think he comes back for one more? Him and McVay. I mean, they're kind of. I think McVay goes when Stafford goes. I think it'll be together.
Yeah, agreed.
And Donald.
And Donald too. Yeah, he's not getting any younger, and he's starting to play a little bit older. You can tell he lost a little bit of a step. Still a great player, of course, but I don't know. The Stafford thing's interesting. I think he has more to give. I think he wants to try to get one more ring. He wants to make another deep postseason run, but he keeps getting so banged up, and he's obviously not getting any younger. So I couldn't blame him for hanging it up either. That's going to be a tough one for him to sit down. And I mean, we already heard his wife say that A, she didn't want him to go back. B, he couldn't relate to the younger players. I mean, she talked a lot, but
wow. It's like, shut up, lady.
Yeah, just let him make all that money. No, I don't know. That's going to be a tough decision for him. He's going to have to really reflect and decide. I think he comes back one more year, one final year. He says, hey, this is my last year, and puts it all out and sees what happens.
Agreed. Yeah, I think they'll come back for one more run, see if they can get healthy, hit lightning in a bottle, get back to the playoffs, and maybe make a run. They're as dangerous as anybody when they get back there. Won the Super Bowl 2 years ago. Obviously didn't make it. This was the first time they've lost with this group in the playoffs with Stafford. So maybe they give it one more run to see if they can hit lightning in a bottle. All right, let's go over to Monday because you make me want to shout. Bills Mafia continues to roll, baby. The future is still alive for me. Oh, man. This got a little dicey, actually. I thought the way it started, I'm like, oh, my God, Buffalo's going to win by 100. This is exactly the way we put it. But Bills -10, never in doubt. Better team. I like this Bills team. I like the way that they're running the football. They have not done this in the past. This takes a little bit of pressure off Josh Allen. That blocked field goal really turned the momentum of the game in the Steelers' favor. But I mean, hell of a run for the Steelers. Like I said, kind of with the Browns. Like, if you're a Steelers fan, you're just happy that you got here.
Yeah, I mean, another great year by Tomlin, or I shouldn't say great, another successful winning season by Tomlin.
Find a way year. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think they ever stood a chance. I mean, switching to Mason Rudolph that late in the season, rolling with him, he gave him a little bit of hope. He gave him some spark, but I think switching your quarterbacks, not even knowing who the quarterback is between the three they had, I just don't think they ever had a chance, even if they made the playoffs. And then they, of course, run into the Bills, who have been just playing lights out football this kind of last, 6-7 weeks. They've won 5, now 6 in a row. Yeah, there was no prayer for the Bills. It did look like it was going to get interesting after that blocked field goal. It looked like it was going to get interesting, but they couldn't capitalize in the red zone. They couldn't get off on their side of the 50 enough times. It was rough. At the beginning of the game, bettors made a decent amount betting Steelers punt or Steelers other because they turned it over a couple times. But yeah, it's a good win by the Bills. And I agree with you. Using James Cook to take that pressure off of Josh Allen is going to help them in the long run. And this is a team that they have a very good shot this year.
Yeah, 18 carries, 79 yards, and that 20-yard touchdown pass to Khalil Shakir. That was the dagger.
Yeah.
So here we are, man. But real quick, does Tomlin come back?
I don't know. Did you see him storm out of his press conference?
Yeah.
You have one more year on your contract, and he just leaves.
I know. Yeah, I mean, there's been rumors. I could see him going to the media. I think he'd be really good. He may be done with it.
Yeah.
He may fucking be done with it, but he may have that hunger. I mean, they're not a Super Bowl contender, so if he walks away now, I mean, he got to the playoffs with Mason Rudolph, rallied. I'd walk away. I mean,
yeah, I think
if he doesn't have it still.
Yeah, he's got that one more year. I think he plays that out and then he's done. I think they part ways after that. And maybe he gets a different quarterback under center because Pickett's not the guy. Trubisky's not the guy. Rudolph's not the guy. I mean, they don't have the guy on their team right now.
Yep. No, they don't. So we'll be interested. We'll see what happens with the Steelers on the other end. Here we go, man. I mean, for Buffalo, you did your job. You've won 6 in a row. You won 6 in a row, which means you won in Kansas City. That was the first game of this win streak. And that meant that you were able to get this home playoff game. You finally do not have to go to Arrowhead. A lot of pressure on them on Sunday. That's my biggest concern, is that kind of the Chiefs are playing with the house money now where, yeah, their legacy is always going to be on the line. Kelsey, you don't know how much longer he's going to do it. But if the Chiefs do lose, I mean, it's going to be like, oh, they just didn't have it this year. They won the Super Bowl last year. They were on the road. The Bills, they got to get this one, man. They cannot lose to the Chiefs on Sunday. This is their window right now.
Yeah, 100% agree, and I think they will. I know you and I are both believing in the Bills. I just think this year they're the better team. Chiefs are a good team. They got their great coach. Patrick Mahomes is great, of course, but I think all around team, Bills are the better team right now.
What is that number down to 2.5? That worries me that it's at 2.5. I would feel more confident if that thing was at 3. When it came down to 2.5, I'm like, it's just like freaking Mahomes, and then you always have that Bills bad luck in the back of your mind, like it just all the heartbreak over the years, just like the Lions. But
you and I, 2.5, they're begging you to take the Bills, right?
I know. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, oh, God. Is this going to be one of those Bills 1 or 2 point wins where Kansas City covers but Buffalo wins? Or does Buffalo just completely choke like they did last year against Cincinnati? I'm with you. I think this is their year. They've been my Super Bowl pick all year. I'm not cowarding out now, baby. Let's go, Bills. We'll talk about that matchup on Thursday. Can't wait. I'll tell you what else we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about Hall of Fame bets right now, because win bigger by betting smarter this NFL season with Hall of Fame bets, the sports betting research platform for parlays, props, game lines. Research all NFL, NBA, soccer with historical data and stats. Stop betting in the dark and join over 30,000 users researching with Hall of Fame bets to craft a more intelligent, data-driven parlay. Download the Hall of Fame bets app or visit HOFBets.com. Code SGPN to get 50% off your first month today. Start researching, start winning with the Hall of Fame bets. We're also brought to you by the SGPN merch store. 50% off everything in the store now to the end of the month. Promo code PLAYOFFS. We're competing against all other shows for a bonus. Get over there. Your favorite item from the store today. All right, final game on the slate, and I was laughing my ass off last night. Tampa Bay embarrassed this pathetic Eagles team. Wow. So, obviously, well documented. I thought the Eagles were overrated. Another week, I'm saying, wow, I didn't think they were this bad. They end the season on a 3-game losing streak, losers of 6 out of 7. No, 6 out of 7, or was it 5 out of 6?
I think it was 6 out of 7, counting this game.
Yeah, because I know they beat the Giants. They sprinkled in it. Yeah, it was because they lost to San Francisco. They got embarrassed. Then they went to Dallas and got run out of the building. Then they lost to Seattle. Then they won. They almost lost to Tyrod Taylor and Danny DeVito on Christmas. Then they lost to Arizona, and that's when it was like, whoa, red flag. Then they got embarrassed by the Giants, and then they get embarrassed by Tampa Bay. One of the biggest second half collapses I can ever remember. I kind of think Sirianni might get canned, man.
Yeah, I think it's a real possibility. I mean, when we jumped on before we went live, I said Baker winning a playoff game 32-9 is just wild. It is crazy. I mean, a lot of
hell?
people had written this guy off. So credit to him for how he played. I thought he played very well. But I do think this is more of a reflection of how bad and broken the Eagles are. I mean, the offensive line was not looking the same. Goddard is chirping at Jalen Hurts. AJ Brown, of course, didn't play. Everybody's going to point to that. I don't think it would have mattered. This
No.
was a rough game where the Eagles, they looked terrible on every side of the ball. I mean, we knew their defense was terrible. We've said that for weeks, that this defense can't stop anybody and that they were going to struggle in the playoffs. But the offense has been keeping up with people. They couldn't against the Bucs, and I think that's going to need to be addressed in the offseason. They got to do something different. I just don't know what it is. Maybe it's a new offensive coordinator. If they don't keep Sirianni, or if they do keep Sirianni, maybe a new offensive coordinator fixes it. I don't know. It's tough to not point the finger at Sirianni, who brought that offensive coordinator and the defensive coordinator in, who struggled, with this team. So I don't know. It's this was interesting to watch. I thought the Bucs would win. I did not think they would win like this.
Yeah, AJ Brown would not have made a difference at all because AJ Brown can't block. They couldn't block Tampa's front all night. He would have just, honestly, he probably would have made it worse because he would have been bitching all up and down the sideline.
No
and it's
doubt.
like, hey, my man, we can't fucking block. That's why I can't get the ball to you. Yeah, I mean, the Eagles complete collapse. Tampa Bay, I mean, I thought they sucked. I'm not going to lie. I actually thought the Eagles and Cowboys actually both were going to win and then choke next round. But I don't. Kelsey's going to retire, by the way. Juke in the chat pointing that out. Sirianni get another year?
I don't know. It's tough when this collapse that they had, because you got to point the finger somewhere.
Yeah.
And to me, it's got to be the head coach. I mean, the team has not changed that much from last year's Super Bowl team. So him not having control of the locker room and letting this collapse happen, I think you got to point the finger at him. So with all the talent they have, with this huge downhill slide, I think you got to look at him. He's got to be on the hot seat, and the organization, Howie Roseman and them, they have to have conversations about that for sure.
Well, they moved on from Dougie P quick. I mean, he had one bad year. Obviously, his was more injury related with Wentz, and then moving on to Hurts. But Hurts kind of feels like a one-hit wonder too. I know he got banged up, but I feel like if everything's not perfect around him, he's not as good either. That's why I call him Jalen Prescott. He's got some holes. He's turning into an overrated quarterback that everybody crowned him a little bit too early, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree. If anybody has kids, or like me, a nephew that has seen Toy Story 3, there's a scene where Woody and this little Sporky character are walking by each other, and they're like, "You're just like me. You're trash." I've seen a lot of things on the internet having Jalen Hurts and Dak Prescott heads on those two.
I'd like to say I was ahead of it, baby.
Yeah, right. And yeah, throw Tua in there too. I mean, these are guys that I think their window is closed.
Yeah, or definitely closing. Tyrell makes a good point in chat. Sean loves to hype up fucking Jalen Hurts. He's not the dog he makes. I 100% agree. He's got some holds. They've been exposed. We'll see how he responds in the offseason. I think we both give Tampa Bay a shot on Sunday, though, from just having conversations.
I mean, they're going to win it. Let's go, Tampa Bay. I can't stand it if the Packers and the Lions win again. So, I need at least one of them to lose. It'd be nice if both lost.
Can you imagine if Baker gets to the NFC Championship game? What the hell?
Yeah, that would be insane. I mean, I'm assuming it would be against the 49ers if it plays out how I think it will, and then they will get destroyed. So 49ers will be in the Super Bowl. But I don't know. Baker's a dog. Baker is definitely a dog. He's feisty. He does.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes he doesn't care. He doesn't give a shit, and
No.
that's what makes him good in these situations, really. But yeah, I will say Hurts was not 100%. I don't think that made them lose 32-9. But the finger and the knee both banged up. I think that was starting to affect especially his rushing ability. But that didn't make the difference for the game. I know some people are pointing at that. I've seen it on the X, the Twitter, whatever, and that's not the reason they lost.
To put in perspective how bad the Eagles' defense was and why they lost the game that way, the Bucs scored 9 points against the fucking Panthers last week. They basically got shut out by the Saints the previous week. The Bucs offense was not playing at a high level before last night. Baker Mayfield was hurt, his ribs. I mean, he was hurt last night, and he carved their ass up. So, yeah, no, there's no excuse. I don't want to hear that crap. Baker was just as injured as Jalen Hurts. He put up and shut up and got it done. So, Bucs go there. That will kick Sunday at 3. All right, man. 6 games in the book. 4 upcoming this weekend, then conference championship the following weekend, followed by the Super Bowl. Updated Super Bowl prediction. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Did anything you see? I mean, obviously we didn't see the 2 favorites play. I got the lines, the updated lines scrolling across there.
I see it. Yeah.
Did anything you see change your thoughts? Because you're on the Bills, right?
Yeah. Yep. 5-1. No. And then on the graphic, I mean, I had Bills Lions Super Bowl. I kind of like that angle right now of fading the. I think everybody's just penciling the 1 seeds. I think we're going to see some chaos, but I could see the Niners. We'll talk about the Niners here later this week, and I know Nick Fortune's a big Niners fan. If they can't get to the Super Bowl with this freaking field, then they're going to have some hard discussions here in the offseason, because this is like. Everybody said Dallas and Philly were the 2 biggest threats to them. They're both out.
Gone. Yeah.
They just have to beat the Packers with Jordan Love, and then they got to beat either Jared Goff outside or Baker Mayfield. So if the Niners don't get to the Super Bowl, it's one of the biggest disappointments of the season, in my opinion.
Moonoff checking in just in time for this question. Let's go Stroud.
Yeah, there we go.
How do the Texans have the worst odds? I mean, I know they have a hard path.
Everybody's crowning the Ravens.
Yeah, but gosh, how are they worse than the Packers? That's bullshit. I'm offended for you, Moonoff.
Well, I think because if they do somehow get by the Ravens, then they're going to have to play Josh Allen or Mahomes compared to the Packers, who got to play Goff or Baker. So it's kind of just speaking upon how much better the AFC top to bottom right now is left in the field versus the NFC. Niners, like I said, man, no excuse to not get to the Super Bowl this year. If you don't, you're gonna have they're gonna have some real fucking hard conversations, because this is the freaking dream path. What's transpired here? So, all right, JMark, it's Tuesday. What do we got over at Old Fashioned Football before we get up on out of here?
Nothing today, but tomorrow we got Rose City Distilling out of Portland, Oregon, coming on the show. So check that out. And always interesting to hear from the distillers about their product, how they got into even making whiskey. That's what I want to do. I want to get into making whiskey. It's always a fun time. And then we're going to be recapping some of the season, talking about the rookies and if they make a leap forward or a leap backward next year. That'll be on Thursday. So yeah, we got all sorts of good stuff going on. Make sure you check us out and subscribe.
Get over there, baby, and make sure you're subscribed to the College Experience, going live here in 10 minutes. Talking Big 12 basketball, loaded lineup here. Go check out the College Basketball Experience, College Football Experience, the main sports gambling podcast. And, of course, make sure you're subscribed and get your notifications turned on for the NFL Gambling Podcast. We're still playoff games to be had, playoff games to be bet on. JMark and I will be back here on Thursday to preview the Sunday games. Scott and Terrell got the Saturday games. That's it, man. We will see you guys on Thursday. Don't forget to let it ride.